let's get this going. So I don't really know how this last half's going to turn out. All right, the first half didn't turn out how I thought, and I feel like everything's watered out. But let's do it, right? So what's our knowledge of PureScript again? Who's where? Like a couple of years experience? 0? Okay, who's got 0? Awesome.
What?
Tutorial walkthrough.
0 experience with PureScript. So basically everybody. Has anybody, well, you guys have used it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else used it on the regular? Okay.
Not on the regular. I've done some katas with it.
Okay. So some people might be familiar with the syntax and some of the ideas, and effectively nobody else? Okay, that's cool. So let's start with the basics. It's a strongly typed, statically typed language that compiles to JavaScript. Also other languages, like Python sort of, and C++ for sure, and like whatever else you want. Purity, so functional programming, I guess, whatever, referentially, blah, blah, blah.
Is that the technical term? Referential blah blah blah?
Yes.
It's a new term.
And everything's immutable, right? Let's do it. So, okay. So, I get the sense that everybody sort of knows how to use NPM properly, or most people know how to use NPM properly, and most people know how to use like Yarn or whatever, right? So, the instructions are sort of for. So there's 2 ways to go about this. You can install everything globally with PureScript, Pulp, and Bower and all that stuff, or you can install it in the project locally and write some scripts inside the thing and just use the scripts. I've got instructions for using the scripts, but if you want to do it globally, do it globally. You know, whatever. Either way works. But if you just want to install it for the project, then you can install it as a dev dependency, and you want PureScript, Pulp, and Bower.
Are we staying in the same project?
Yes. Yeah. Still in the shopping cart. But if you want it globally, then change the D to a lowercase g.
Themselves? Yeah. They tell you not to use it. Holy crap! Until you go to Webpack. Why do you use Bower, not NPM?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. No, seriously,
I've used Bower since Polymer.
Sure. No, it's a really good question. So there's a couple of reasons why. I think the major reason why was because we were looking for some sort of dependency tracker, and Bower was really easy to set up and get going with. And like there was very little overhead to using Bower to pull in the other PureScript dependencies.
One of the reasons was with how Bower resolves duplicate dependencies of different versions, right? So the way NPM defaults is nested trees, right?
Yeah.
But for PureScript, they wanted to be sure, like, we don't want to be using different versions of the same dependency.
Because it won't work, right? The types won't line up, yeah?
Exactly. So Bower has a flat dependency tree. So it just forces you to resolve the version, right? It prompts you, hey, one dependency needs this version, another this one. Which one do you want to resolve to? That's what PureScript was with.
And what Pulp is?
I'm sorry?
And what is Pulp?
Pulp is a, what do you call them?
Build tool.
There you go. For
What?
PureScript,
Like
build tool?
Build tool.
Yes.
Like SBT for task.
Yes.
Or gold. That's kind of what it's like.
It's like a task runner?
Yeah.
It's like Webpack in a way, or
Task runner. It's like Gulp.
it's like
PureScript
so
Gold.
it's a task runner. It's not a modular
PureScript
one.
gold.
I'm not sure I understand the difference.
E instead of G. It's just gold.
That's
That's
the
the
difference.
idea.
Huh?
Gold instead of gold.
Oh, that's actually the idea.
That's a side effect.
Are we good?
What
what happens when you hit the 3% battery.
Do I need to do anything here?
Actually, not a bad idea.
Oh, that's his computer?
Yeah.
What? I need that. That was awesome, dude. That thing's making all sorts of noise. How we doing here? Everybody installed? Anybody having problems? Okay.
Is this going to build on what we just did on the same code, or are you going to do it a different way, all PureScript kind of things?
We're not going to touch any of the stuff that we already did. So if you want to like clean your Git directory, you can do that. Or if you want to keep it, you can do that. It doesn't really make a difference.
You say clean the project?
If you want, it's up to you.
Still installing.
Run a developer time, 80% installing, 10% finding what happened, 10%.
That's kind of another thing I find interesting, coming from a backend point of view, is that given all the years of experience we have in the backend doing it wrong when it comes to like build tools, then like NPM and Webpack and so on, I just can't see why that happened.
Because you need to do all over again. Like you
Yeah.
have to do all the mistakes all over again.
Yeah.
Webpack is actually building a compiler in a way.
Right.
That's the way I see it. It's like, why not to put it in the VM? Like, why not to make it easier for you? It's
Quite strange.
Yeah, it works actually.
Anybody still need time? No? Okay, so if you installed locally, then there's like some things you can do here to make your life a little bit easier. Wait, yeah, right there. So oh, I can do this as well. In the, yep. For, what are we doing? Shopping cart? There you go. You can add some scripts here. So you can add the little Bower script, so it'll run the local Bower. If you installed it globally, you don't really need to do any of this stuff. And you probably want one for that. That'll run pulp and run the PSCI thing. So this is just so that you can use the ones that you locally installed instead of like trying to figure out how to get into there and find them.
Is this the like package JSON at the root or an example something?
In the example one. How are we doing? Anybody else? Any time? Time? No? Okay. So once you have that, we should be able to run Bower and install a bunch of stuff. So what's happening here is we're using npm run to run this Bower command that we just had, and then we're going to pass the arguments to Bower. You do the dash dash to pass them directly to the thing you're running. So if you install globally, then just do Bower and no dash dash, and then the rest of the line. So we're going to install. Oh wait, we missed a step. I think we need a Bower.json. So maybe you can do npm run Bower. Whoa, where's my? There we go.
Do pulp and inet, and then everything will be.
Doesn't that overwrite a bunch of stuff?
Yeah.
Or does that work?
Give me a warning.
Can I not
You
see?
can always get checkout and like fix the.
Like the rest of the argument to the command you apply. Anything about
So I'm gonna do a Bower init, and then just whatever. Don't care. Good.
the Bower init and we'll enter?
Yeah. So that'll give you a bower.json, right? npm run bower init, and then we can run this other line, which is install and save the dependencies of PureScript Prelude and PureScript console, probably. And then you'll have a whole world of output here.
Yeah.
Oh God, what happened?
So,
PMI.
yeah.
Worked for me.
Oh
You
yeah,
got it, Halogen.
Ship
You
it.
have the
So then I can just use it.
thank you. How did that other one work?
What's the standard for, like, so if your project requires PureScript, should you include that in your dev dependencies in your package, JSON or whatever it is?
Something else is going on here. Do I have internet?
That would be like an
Awesome.
You could try npm install Purescript.
Oh, oh, cool. I didn't think
That looks a little better.
Oh, is that what dash D does?
Okay, so those two. I'm sorry.
The basic module.
Yes, so Prelude gives you, it pulls in a bunch of other modules, and it gives you like, so very little is actually implemented in PureScript itself, in the language. Most of everything is in a library somewhere. So like addition is not in the language, but it's in a library, and Prelude pulls that in, right? But certain things are in the language. So we use Prelude to bring in like just the normal stuff that you would want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the console one gives you like the ability to log out to the console and stuff like that.
REPL?
Say again?
Like REPL?
That actually comes with the PureScript that you installed. So when you install PureScript, you get the compiler itself, you get an interactive REPL, you get a documentation generator, you get like 3 more things, and you get like an IDE server as well. And that all comes with packaged together. So that's just there. And then Pulp provides slightly easier ways to use that than trying to use it directly. Does that make sense? Okay.
Because we didn't install via Polymorphism.
Right.
Or we didn't, we're going to have to.
And I mean, if you want to run Pulp init, it's going to ask you to like overwrite the git ignores and stuff like that.
In the LambdaConf channel, I pasted you're going to have to install PSCI support.
Yeah, that's the next slide.
Does PSC package come with that too, or is that a separate?
Slide channel?
I haven't actually used that.
Yeah, I know those separate.
So yeah, as he said, the next thing that you need is the PSCI support, which will give us the ability to run the interpreter. So this one we're saving as a dev dependency. You can save it as a regular dependency. It doesn't really matter. But we just need to run that. Can I spell it right this time? Oh.
You need to squeeze out those 2 dashes.
Thank you. Cool.
Don't mind me.
PSCI support.
Yeah.
All the PureScript stuff on Bower is like prefixed with PureScript dash, so it won't tell you that until you install stuff.
Anybody else need a couple minutes? Okay. So once everything's installed, we can start up the PureScript interpreter, and we can use, yes? Yeah, if you do Bower init, it should make one for you. It'll ask you like some defaults or whatever. Did that work? Okay, cool. So if we run pulp PSCI, then hopefully it does that thing. And it starts up a REPL for you. So you can do stuff here, but like there's not a lot that you can really do without importing modules. So I guess the best thing to do is import the Prelude first. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Prelude like a standard library?
Yeah. So it brings in all of like the dependencies and all the normal stuff you'd expect.
Why would they not just include that by default?
Because you don't want a lot of it most of the time.
I like this.
They learned from Haskell that it's better to, that way they can change the prelude and stuff.
It lets you just pick the pieces you actually end up needing instead of kind of carrying this baggage. Especially because they're like trying to compile out to target JavaScript, so they only end up including exactly this stuff.
Right, that makes sense. Cool.
You can also include different preludes. So maybe there's one that's like a little simpler, where you don't have like all the type class hierarchy. Or maybe there's one that's like specifically set up for something. So instead of installing 12,000 dependencies, you just install the one prelude.
Makes sense.
Can you do module re-exports like you can in Haskell?
I believe, I don't know.
Okay. Although it doesn't work exactly how I'd like it to.
Okay.
By the way, the import prelude is not coming like automatically. I have to do that manually.
Correct. So, okay, well, caveat, you can... Caveat, you can write like a .psci file, I believe, and have like the normal imports that you want. And then when you run PSCI, it'll read that first and do the thing, right?
Like .gs.
Yeah. So we're in a prelude, right? We can do things. One, that's a number. Hello, it's a string, right? But like, there's other things we can do, right? We can like, we can get help to see what we can actually do in the interpreter. So there's like a lot of things that are interesting here. Some of these are, where's my mouse? Some of these are like interpreter specific, and some of these are more about like what you're dealing with. So you can ask for the type of an expression. You can ask for the kind of a type, and well, I think these are also. I guess there's only two things that you can really do that are fun, but like. If you wanted to know what the type of 1 was, it's an int, right? If you want to know what the type of 1.0 is, it's a number, right? So there's a distinction between ints and numbers. If you, what else can you do? You know, you can say 1 plus 2 gives you that. If you say hello plus world, you get that, which means you did something wrong. But the important part is that like, you can't use plus for strings, is what this is trying to tell you. So there needs to be a type class instance for simulating for string. There isn't one, but we can still concatenate strings, right? If we say hello, and then use a different operator, this diamond thing here, then we concatenate just fine, right? And so, oh,
Or you
okay.
could implement scenario for string.
You could also do that. I don't know if that's a good idea, but simmering.
Because it's addition and multiplication.
So that's a great question, right? Can you want to say it a little louder?
No, I just asked why not use plus for that.
Yeah. Why not use plus, right? So what is plus? It's this function that has a constraint that it needs to be a semi-ring, and then it takes two of these semi-rings and gives you another one, right?
What is a semi-ring?
Excellent question. I don't know if I can show it from here, but
Just define it in terms of its like superclass.
in terms of its superclass, what's that? I mean, not what's a superclass, but what do you mean?
You know what semi-group is?
So semi-ring.
It's like a
Here you go.
monolith without identity.
So
It's a semi-group.
Oh, I thought he said semi-group.
No,
Semi-ring is a group plus another relation.
There you go.
yeah, we can go deep into this right now, or we can just go with that right there.
a group plus another way. Like,
So the point is that you need to be able to implement each of these different methods for it. And so for a string, can you implement this one thing, right? What does that mean for a string? How does that differ from 0, right? And when you implement it, would it still satisfy these laws here, right? So like, if you can do that for a string, then sure, implement semi-ring. But I don't know if you can. Maybe you can, but I don't know if you can. And it just hasn't been implemented yet. So like, you can definitely have add for a string, right? But what does mul mean for a string? Like when you try to multiply one string with another, what do you expect it to get out?
those operations are for a group called semi-ring.
Yes, correct. Oh, wait. What do you mean by group? It's for
Type, I meant type.
I think you get the idea. Okay, there's jargony reasons, but yes, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, well, they call it a type class.
Oh, type class.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, so if you can implement these things for a string, then go for it, do it, and everything's good, right? You can use plus for strings, and everything's fine. But I think the problem is that you can't implement mul or 1 for a string. And if you could implement it, there's no guarantee that it would still satisfy these 7 laws.
Is there
8?
automatic derivation of like tests for those laws in PureScript?
I don't think so.
I'm confused on that too. My understanding is that you'd have to use a tool like Coq or something to actually prove out that those are.
So well, I think Scala has some things, and I think it combines Scala check maybe and like
Yeah,
generates tests.
and get like some confidence. Yeah.
To make sure.
I think they have some set of classes that you could use to do that. If you wanted to.
Are you talking about straight deriving or?
No, deriving tests to prove that your instance obeys the laws.
So what is this website? I mean, let's take a diversion, right? Pursuit, yeah? It lets you, well, here you go. It's the home of PureScript Documentation. So if you're looking for something, you can find it, right? If you wanted to find what plus was, it searches and finds these things. Oh, I know about that. So there's plus. It's an operator alias for add. Huh? If you want to search for like other things, you can search for other things. I think you can do like.
But why did they add the plus to kind of the semi-ring? Shouldn't be needing all the other operations just to append.
Yeah, right? So there's cases where you don't need all those things, right? And we use this weird function that was like a diamond, yeah? So what's that? It's an alias for append, right? And append is this thing that's in a semigroup. And the only thing you need to satisfy for a semigroup is that it's associative, right? So like, that's why you can have a string that implements plus as this append thing, right? It's just a different function that you would use rather than using the plus symbol. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but I just wondered why the reasons to put the plus into the semi-ring instead of
Rather than the semigroup.
They're different operations. They obey different laws. Sorry, I didn't.
But both append.
So most of the people, if you try to think like what like numbers look like plus and multiplication, then it makes sense that they are different. We want different symbols. But if you have like a semi-group, then what do you choose? Because you could choose a plus or times. So what's the convention many people follow is we just use plus and times for ring-like thing where you have two operations and then just invent another symbol for semi-groups and monoids.
And also, you can think about the fact that like monoid is, I guess, a sub-type class of semigroup, and in that case, sum and product are monoids, right? So you can addition is a monoid, and multiplication is a monoid. So in that way, you can represent those parts of the semi-ring as a monoid. But monoid specifically talks about doing an associative operation, where a semi-ring is talking about strictly these numerical kind of computations. They don't necessarily have numbers, but those sorts of operations. So they're just slightly different things.
So I guess to answer your question fully is that's just the way it is in the Prelude. It's sort of an arbitrary distinction, but it's also not arbitrary, but it is kind of arbitrary. So, so like you can make...
There's theoretical underpinnings as to why they're different.
But you could make a different hierarchy where there was only plus, and there was only times, and there wasn't these weird operators, and the constraints would be the same as this. You'd just call it add, and it'd be on a semigroup, and string, and int, and all those things could implement the same thing, and everything would be fine, right? But that's not the way that it is in the Prelude. So that's the real answer, I guess, right? Is that satisfying? It feels like that's not satisfying.
Well, it's satisfying.
I feel like you have the really good questions, and I hope that you don't feel like you're offending anybody with your questions. I hope you're not offending anybody with your questions, first of all. But like,
how could you dare to say last for strings?
But yeah, I really appreciate your questions. They're very good. Where are we? Yeah, do that. Okay, cool. So should we play around with this some more? Should we find some more stuff? What can we do? We can like let's write a function, right? Who doesn't like functions, huh? Whoa, get out. So let's write a function called greet, okay? We're gonna take a name and we're gonna say hello. Name, right? So what is this syntax here? Like, the way this works is that you have the name of the function and any arguments to the function, and then the body of the function, like the implementation, right? So just like we could ask what the type of hello was and what the type of plus was, we can also ask what the type of greet is, right? So it tells us it's this thing, which is a function that takes a string and returns a string, right? So does that make sense? Is this too slow? Are you guys all like ready to go? So who's got a name? You're tricky. Hello, Hardy. Now, bam, right? Let's write another function. Come on. What are we doing? More functions.
One question.
Yeah.
I messed up kind of the first time I created the greet function, and then I tried to just redefine it. In REPL, but it didn't kind of change the implementation.
Oh, yeah. What did you do? Can I recreate it?
I just arrowed up and then did my stuff again. Just call a new function called greet.
I guess I could have just typed that in a little quicker. And then what did you type in?
Greet, name, and then equals, and then hello, and then I forgot the space, so I just hello, and then appended the name, so without the space there.
Like that?
No, with the concatenate.
We did the appending of the space after hello.
And then I just enter, and then I figured, oh, that was wrong. I would like to have hello space name. So redefine the greet.
Yeah.
And then when I tried to run it, I got the first greet.
Oh. Yeah. What's that about?
Immutability, I guess. But why didn't you warn me? That's like not cool.
So can we?
Why didn't you warn about immutability? Clear.
Yeah.
Still.
If we do a clear
Do something.
to discard the declared bindings, then what if we redefine greet now?
It sort of makes sense. So
Oh gosh.
You have to import Prelude.
She doesn't have any longer, yeah.
Does Control R work in here? Recursive search, yeah.
So okay, so it's kind of if you mess up, right?
Yeah, I guess
You don't know
so.
that you mess up because it doesn't tell you, which is not.
So I've been trying to do some others that make sense. So if you try to write a factorial function, you need to write two lines, one for fact 0 equals 1, and then fact n equals blah blah. So you are really defining a function by cases. So in this case, what I guess is that you are really defining a function which goes to the first. And
Alejandro,
it goes to the
tearing it up, dude. Is that true?
Yeah, you can can write fact. Yeah. Factorial doesn't
It's
really.
like pattern matching?
Yeah, so it's pattern. It's just like you are writing the thing on a.
Okay.
You write these 2 lines.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So if we greet,
In an actual module, when we would do that, the compiler just gives you an error and says it's impossible to reach that case, but that doesn't do it.
so we have that one as well. Oh, wait. Let's reload everything. So we've got this one is the first case, and then that one should just do that. Why not? So if we greet, oof. Yeah?
Yep.
But if we greet,
Great.
Alejandro, that's good. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it actually does. Yeah.
Okay. I thought we found a bug. I was going to be excited.
And in PSCI, can you, first off, your case of syntax, right? There's pattern matching, right?
Uh-huh.
So, can you do that in one line? Because is it only white space intended, or do you have the option of curly braces?
I don't think there's curlies yet, or semicolons.
So is there a way to write like a one-line case match? Or if
I think if you have one case, probably.
I think this is Haskell.
See that kind of things before.
Cool. So let's write another one. What's, I don't know, we like strings, right? How about full name? So it takes a first name, a last name, and it gives you the first name with like a space in between. Why not? And then the last name. That seems cool, right? So what's full name's type? Yeah?
I mean, I've done something like, no, I didn't. So I did the same thing you did up there, basically, and you didn't do the same thing.
Okay, cool.
Perplexed.
What did we do?
Well, I wrote a greet name, and I wrote a greet Ben. And
Pre-name.
like greet.
Oh, greet. I'm sorry.
Same thing you did with Hardy and name.
Okay.
And it just said hello Ben.
Oh, which order did you do them in? Greet name and then greet Ben?
First.
Oh,
Yeah.
Then it'll always match that.
So it's so sequence that makes sense for pattern matching. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay, so full name takes 2 arguments and gives you back a string, right? And that's what's reflected in this syntax here. You get a string, you get another string, you end up with a string. I'm glossing over details here, but it's okay. So does that make some sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that also curly? Like if I read full name Gil, and look for the.
Let's see. If you do full name,
I guess it is.
would you say Gil?
That's my name.
Oh, don't do that. Let's ask for the type of
What
it.
happened here? You just wrote my name.
Right? So full name has this type, right? But if we partially apply one argument, if I can type, then we get just this function back, right? So we take a string and give it. This is not a good example.
So it does not partially apply.
No, it does, but it's not clear how it's doing it, right? Is it the first string that's gone, the second string, the third string? Like, who knows, right? That's not a good example. But we can do, you take like a name and age, and then you do, is, right, so, foo, oh gosh, pretend like this makes sense. It takes a string and then something that you can show and gives you back a string, right? So if we check the type of a partially applied foo with Gil, then it's just something that you can show and returns a string.
Why didn't it work on
No, it works fine, but I think maybe it's not that unclear. Maybe I'm just overreacting. But it seemed unclear, like, which one of these 3 strings got removed here.
Can I put brackets or something like that to make it clear?
Yes. So if you wrap the, what do you mean brackets?
No, like, can I just tell him what the first argument that I want to put in, like maybe, why is it like, where the mix-up? Like,
If I believe it's not deleted at the first parameter.
Yes, yes, it does. It does exactly that.
What if you
So why
assign
don't we return a function called wait for the next sense?
It does.
what if you assign the partially applied full name, so just Gil equals full name Gil?
That's a function.
Sure.
Because it's
It just, the error happens in the default, so try finding.
So then Gil,
probably what it's
string to string.
Alright, and then you could call Gil with the last name. You know the last name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. So if you, my mistake, it works. Yeah. Works. It is.
Awesome. So yeah, does this all make sense? Is this still confusing? What?
Speaking of that, yeah, question, is there a type alias thingy in PureScript?
Yeah, sure. So should we do that? I don't. Can you do that in the REPL? Does anybody know?
It's only one way to find out. Or you could read the source for an hour and then.
Yeah, right. So let's have FullName be an alias for a function. It takes a string and gives you back a string.
Hold on. Are you typing the Unicode arrow or is it doing that?
I'm typing that, and then I'm using a font that makes it look like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Code.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So FullName's that. That's cool. It's type alias. Who had the question? You. Is that?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's I don't like strings, so I don't like that. My first name equals string, my last name equals string, and then the current
What's the
arguments make total sense.
And also use new type.
Firacode? FIRACODE. Is it?
I think Bill mentioned in the channel this morning that we should just not allow type aliases for primitive value.
Ooh, I like that. Can we do that?
Deprecating the ability to add a type alias to like number and string. But why? There's a whole thread on it if you're interested in like why they're having problems. I think.
I am interested. Where is that? I mean, not right now, but figure out.
For all.
Sure. Sam?
Yep.
Cool.
Like I can't understand like some of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know the new types thing, but it works as easily as a.
But these are classes and they're types names.
Yeah.
Specs.
So the plan's to talk about that a little bit later, but we can talk about it now if you'd like. It's
Like that.
Huh?
We're just trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, sure.
We have modules, we have classes.
Sure. So Sam had a question about what this for all thing is here. Like what's happening here? What is that? What is this? What are these things? So there's this idea in PureScript of polymorphism. And okay, well, there's a lot that we're going to have to cover in order to answer this question fully. But so there's a distinction between something like this and something like this, where if it starts with a capital letter, that's like a known type. It's not polymorphic. It's not like a type variable. And if it starts with a lowercase letter, then it's a type variable. It's free to be whatever, assuming there's no constraints. So in this case, we're saying that it doesn't matter what you pass in, as long as there's an instance of this show. So like as long as we can show it, you can give me anything, and I'll give you back a string. Does that make sense? No? Yeah?
Is it like A and L? Like any?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or generic in another one.
So there's a restriction in PureScript that any type variables that you use in a type must be introduced somewhere. So that's why we have to say this for all thing. So we're saying like, I want to use this polymorphic variable T16 in this function. And that's just what that is. So other languages don't have that restriction. Some you can impose it on, like Haskell. You can give the, I don't know what the GHCI extension is.
What is it called? T16?
That's just something that the compiler chose to show on the type signature. The T16 is not important. The T14 is not important. Yeah. This thing is not really important. The thing that's important is that it starts with a lowercase letter, so it's a variable. It doesn't start with an uppercase letter, so it's not like a non-variable, type variable. Does that answer your question? Okay, cool.
How do you do multi-line? I'm trying to define a signature and then the function.
Multi-line, yeah, how do you do that?
Full case.
There it goes. So if you do,
Oh, okay. So that's how you can do case of for multiple things. All right.
yeah. Oh God. Okay. Anything else we should cover real quick? Any other questions?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is it like idiomatic PureScript to have alias function with variable names?
I think
Or
so.
it's like staking and so on?
Yeah. Not a requirement though.
Sure.
I'm supposed to be able to browse. We talk about the help. There it says browse. So how, can you give an example of doing it?
Sure. Let's try to browse Prelude. What does it give us?
I didn't get anything, but I tried.
Cool.
That's why I'm asking the question.
But didn't import it, did it? Okay, cool.
What if we browse
Trying to exit?
data dot?
No.
Is that, what's a thing? Function? Is that a thing?
Oh.
There you go. So I don't know why Prelude doesn't have any documentation,
Prelude.prelude or something?
but any other module will give you the documentation of all the functions that are in there. So in data.function, there's this apply function, apply flipped, const, flip, on, and these all do different things. This is probably not a good example if you're unfamiliar with type variables, but you know, maybe what's a better module?
You have data.console installed.
Semi-rings in there.
Data dot what?
Amazing.
Oh, I don't have that.
Is that controlled?
Wow, what do we have?
Semi-ring actually you have.
All right, semi-ring. Cool.
New stuff you have.
So it tells you the class that's defined in there along with the methods on that type class. And then I guess it also tells you the same information.
Use more.
Yeah, sure.
Could you show
It
an
also-
example with kinds? It
Sure.
doesn't seem to work exactly the same as JITs, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't just do colon, K, no, N.
Yeah. So, kinds, right? So there's if you ask what the type of foo is, that we expect that to be a string, right? But like, can you ask what this is me asking you? Can you ask what the kind of string is? Yeah. Okay. So the kind of string is type, and should we also talk about what kinds are, or is that not important?
That wasn't what I was asking.
Okay. So, well, I don't think we have anything. Is that there? Okay, sure. So, yeah, exactly. So that means that array needs a type in order to be like a fully qualified type. So like if you have the type of that, this is an array of int, right? So the kind of array needs a type, and then you get a type. Does that make sense? Yes.
Question again for the for all thing. Like for all, I want to understand
Bless
how you read it. For the add, for instance, can you just read it with explanation? The add,
Like how I would read it?
like explain it. For all a, whatever a it is, like the variable a. I mean, not but the value. I mean, semi-ring. Why did it say a again? That's what I don't understand. Like,
Oh, sure. So,
why twice?
yeah, so A is all over the place. So semi-ring is a type class that operates on one. Great, excellent.
Like area?
Type variable.
Variable, type variable.
Type variable.
What is that?
It is a
Some type.
it is a type which can like it is
Oh,
a generic. Yeah.
Not like
It's a,
SUM.
not a sum type. It is-
SOME.
It is
Arbitrary type.
like a generic in another.
Any
It can
any
be
type.
Any type.
Okay.
So that's just the way that semigroup is
Or
defined.
like universal type. Like Scala the big A. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or capital C.
Yes. Yes.
For all A.
Alright. That I get.
Okay. So
Sorry for
No, this is great. This is great. So why does it say A here again? Well, that's how you would say the constraint that it needs to be a semi-ring, right? So semi-ring needs, you can't just say semi-ring here. Yeah, you can't, right? Because you need to know, that's not a constraint, I guess. And this needs to be a constraint. It's like a syntactical thing.
Oh, now I understand why I don't understand.
That's a good step.
Now I get it, because it's like a small a. It's a lower capital A, but
Yeah.
in my mind it's supposed to be a big. Like it's
Oh yeah.
that's why I don't understand it.
Yeah,
It's like a big A.
Yeah, in the ML style languages, they always use a lowercase type variables.
For values and types?
No, so
for
types themselves has to have big letters at the beginning, like array or int, but variables, which may stand for n type, has to start with a lowercase letter. That's the convention.
Which does not
That's
make any
a
sense.
requirement.
You would expect it to have an A because it's a variable, but it's still type.
That's
So,
how
yeah.
it is.
well, it's a syntactic thing. It's a syntactic decision. Yeah.
An A dot is.
This is just syntax as well.
Such that you can read like for all A such that A is a semi-ring. You get an A is
Great. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. Did that answer your? Okay.
I think I have an answer for you actually. Why you can do this in this guy. Okay. So I guess if you write like kind of monad, what you would get would be start to constraint.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, this constraint thing was only from the
I didn't have that.
7 point something. Before that, so now in GHC, type classes are also
Wait, that should have been
a
brought
different
in.
kind of type.
Yeah.
So you can ask for this, but before you couldn't, because monad is not really a type.
Oh, it's in control.
Another thing.
It's a type constructor.
It's a
Type class. Type class.
Type class. Sorry.
Too many things to start with type.
So many things to type word.
Yeah.
No, forget about it. This important thing is what goes after.
Cool. All right. What do we got here?
There's no colon I, right?
There's no what? What?
Colon I.
Colon I? Oh, what is that? Info? Yeah.
Is there
No.
a parallel?
Although even Haskell is like defined and created. And you're just like, wow, thanks.
No, I give you more than that.
Yeah, I use it to get the instances for some type of.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Is there a similar? Is something like that? Okay.
I mean, there's browse, I guess, but that's not really the same. Yeah. I think you have to have a module.
PR. Working on it right now.
All right, let's do this already, huh?
Yes.
So let's. I just said it. Let's do it. So if we run pulp, did we install everything already?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's just do it. So
What? I didn't get that last one.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he's adding it here. Okay, good.
Oh yeah. Is that all right? Can I do? Okay. So I'm gonna add a script that just gives me access to build, and we're going to do pulp, and we're gonna want to watch the source directory, and every time something happens, we want to rebuild it. And because of the way that this project is set up, not because of something intrinsic to pulp, we need to actually output in a different area than we normally would. So we're going to build it into source/pers. I mean, you can call it PureScript. It doesn't really matter. Just into some different directory underneath source. Otherwise, when we try to use this from the application, the React scripts won't be able to pick up the files. So as long as we have that, and I'll give you guys a second to get that copy.
Could you explain that again? Watch is to watch any changes of the files, right? So
Yes.
Build automatically.
Huh?
Build, I understand. Build pass, I understand. I mean, after build pass, we put src/pors.
Yeah, so that's the output directory of all the files we're going to compile. So when
It's like just everything which is PureScript, put it under the directory first.
well, the compiled PureScript under that directory. Yeah.
The build.
Yeah.
Build.
Yeah. Did it? That's good, dude. So like I try this stuff, but like you never know, right? Like one small typo and we're dead.
We're trying to learn more about like monads.
Oh,
Why this stuff works the way it works.
that's one hell of a question, dude.
I want to build stuff, but I want to know why it works.
I think understanding like functors is a good place.
Yeah.
And when you understand functors, learn applicatives. When you understand applicatives, run a but honestly, usually just write code.
Yeah.
You won't understand why exactly, but just do it. And at some point, you'll discover the parallels.
It works.
And in general, that's a good way to learn abstractions. When you
Yeah.
start seeing patterns over and over again, you should say, there's probably a name for this somewhere. And then you go look it up and you find that it's the visitor pattern, or it's a monad, or whatever.
Can you look at that a second? See?
Sure.
Yeah,
That
because
looks wrong.
humans suck at learning abstract concepts.
Because I am.
But when given concrete,
What is? Oh, that's your thing.
Yeah.
teach a kid math.
That seems right. Is it not working?
Just say,
Oh, it's successful.
all of y'all have 5 apples. You know. That's what
Am I in the right? It says there's no script.
Did you save the file?
Yeah. There's no thing up there. Let's see. I don't know. I'll edit it again.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's
Is it the right package, JSON?
That's what watches it is, right? So if you go in there and
Yeah.
Hmm. You sure?
Can I see that can real quick?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I put it on.
It's a matter of directory
Is
structure.
there a way to like allow her to like try to
Shouldn't be
anything
anything
to get after this?
In theory, we should.
Oh, I can just remove the trends thing. JSON, right? Or not remove the trends.
How you doing, dude? Better?
So does it make any sense to put our build directory inside of a source?
We kind of have to for what we're going to do. Yeah, but it's not a requirement of just compiling PureScript. It normally doesn't. It normally puts it in the top level of wherever the files are under a directory called output. But like since we're going to try and use those files in JavaScript, they need to be under the source directory. So it's entirely because of the way this project works, not because of the way that PureScript or Pulp or anything works. Does that make sense? Okay. We good?
Yep.
That works? I mean, except for this line. But otherwise good? Cool.